Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Every alternate Fridays we have Professor R Vaidyanathan, and today he's here with us. We're going to talk about three important trends. Are these things gone? And what does it mean for India? Let's welcome Professor R Vaidyanathan, also fondly called as Professor RV. Professor RV, Namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel. Sir, how are you?
Namaste, Namaskaram. You have not told about subscribing, Sengol, and other things, right?
Yes, sir. People understand that these are available. And viewers, I'm going to be in Princeton, in a city called Edison, very close to Princeton, New Jersey, where Rajiv Malhotra ji is celebrating his 30th anniversary of the founding of Infinity Foundation. I will be there. Those of you who might be attending that, I look forward to seeing you all. So there will be Sengols on display there. I don't know what form and shape it's going to take, but we are trying to popularize it in various places and various platforms. Sir, I thought for once I will not bother them with this, and they already know that they can get their Sengols from here, but they also know that they have to subscribe. They also know they have to like at the beginning of the program itself. Sir, all are your students, sir. They all love your lecture, so I'm sure they are liking it.
It's okay. I just thought I have to remind you some of these things, right? Better.
No problem, sir. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. As you suggested, kindly at the end of 25 minutes or something, show me this sign of basketball.
Yes.
So that, I may not be keeping the watch and other thing.
No worries,
so
sir.
that a couple of questions I can answer and then close it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Today's thing is something different than the regular ones. Today we are going to look at three Antim Samskars, which we have to do. The Antim Kriyas are for globalization, traditional banking, and NGOs. All of them have, in some way or other, have impact with our own country. First is globalization. Very simple. After the arrival of Trump, this has taken a knockdown to the extent that the conservative leader of Canada, who is expected to win the poll, he says he is not going to sponsor even 1% for this 𝗏𝗏𝗏, that is, World Economic Forum at Switzerland. That's a very peculiar organization which has been funded by several global, I would say, crooks. Their task is to, create a global organization, and they also want to have some sort of a interesting thing in terms of change of regime and other thing. Soros is one of the most active participant in that thing. And our Indian correspondent go all the way from Bombay or Delhi to the freezing cold there and interview the same our people, Kotak, as well as this what one can call this truck people, and they can as well interview them in Bombay or Delhi. Why go all the way there? Somebody told, sir, no, sir, this is some method by which you can see Switzerland also. This is sponsored by the organization and other thing. And now that importance is also coming down. It's not something very... And last year itself, Trump very clearly told he may address that, but he is not going to sponsor any person. And slowly many media people are realizing. So this is one indication. And the globalization, other aspects like, for instance, he withdrew from World Health Organization, this US, and a huge amount of funding is, that is the most important thing. As the classic thing in the Nixon papers time, it was told that follow the money trail, you will get everything clear. No other thing is very important. So like that, the amount of 400 billion normally contributed by US to WHO has been slashed. And WHO is in panic, because many of them, they have these loose talks, like, this fellow Macron, who is now doing significantly much higher than his pay scale, according to me, pay grade. He is jumping. He says that Europe should do this. But where is the money? That's the most important thing. Ultimately, what matters is not the roundtable conferences and other thing. You have to put the money on the table. All these European countries put together cannot mobilize, actually. As Trump nicely pointed out, you all are only contributing to not more than 100 billion. We have spent something like 300 billion. So that is the interesting thing. Yesterday, a report has come. He is also withdrawing from WTO, World Trade Organization. It's a very, very important news. So, and the UNHRC already has withdrawn, and many of the other. I wouldn't be surprised if he withdraws from UN also. He says, because his argument is very simple.
So very important. You talked about UN. You know what happened, sir? He has withdrawn the nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who was supposed to be the ambassador of the United States to UN. She has withdrawn her membership. I mean, she's not going to be the one, because she's going to continue as a congresswoman because of some other issue. But I just wanted to let you know things are moving towards that direction, sir. Please, back to you.
No, he withdrew also slightly worried that the entire Republican may not vote for her. Some of them may do the cross voting, and the majority is very, small in Congress. Anyhow, he is, if he withdraws from UN, I would not be surprised, actually. He is not US is not a member of the international, that so-called ICC, which is one of the Pakistan origin fellow is running the show. And already he is clearly told South Africa that you should mind your business. You are not to, step out. More than that, and tariff war he has initiated all the front. And if you look at it, actually, tariff war is not something against countries or anything. For instance, this motorcycle, which is very popular in US, but not so much popular in India, and that Davis. So that motorcycle,
Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson. That would hardly sell 7,000 or 8,000 copies in India, and there are millions being sold for other two-wheelers. And unnecessarily on that 100% tax has been levied by India, thinking that as if, if you have lesser tax, these are not price elastic or anything. These are, age-old type of thing, and it has its own charm in US among the youngsters, not yet. And even if you make it zero, and the price at which that motorcycle will be selling is not very easy. It is not competitive with other type of motorcycle or anything. It's a premium segment. Anyhow, what I am telling is, we are so, not applying our mind. Similarly, the whiskey, the single malt whiskey, as well as other type of whiskey from here. Again, they are very premium product. Today in India, actually, Indian whiskey is much more popular, and Indian whiskey is getting popular outside also of India. Anyhow, what I want to say is, this tariff thing is justified from one angle, because US feels it is subsidizing lot of activities of other countries. When, for instance, US sells something, it is it is taxed at a very high level, and when US gets something, it is expected to be taxed at a low level. This is is not very easy to understand. Anyhow, global institutions, he is not very enthusiastic. Trump is not very enthusiastic. The age-old, what one can call 1548, Westphalian 1648, Westphalian consensus was going on for a long period of time. Non-interference in each other's affairs and other things. But US did not bother about it. Starting with Vietnam, so many other countries, they involved themselves. And Tony Blair, in a speech in Chicago, 1999, that is 2000 beginning, one of the famous speeches he told, the civilized country, what he means is the Western countries have a right to interfere in the affairs of other countries if they are not behaving or if they are not having proper systems. What he means is it's up to us to decide where to enter, where to change regime, and that's how the Iraq war came, and he created a big allagulla about weapons of mass destruction. Not even one bottle of hydrochloric acid they could locate there. So that is the type of thing. But now Trump is not very enthusiastic about involving himself in any type of war or anything. He wants to withdraw, focus on US interest. So his point is very simple. Most of these global initiatives, we've spent a huge amount of money, but finally what we get is only abuse. Everybody says that US is this country, that country. Just like, all these kids who go there on scholarship, they shout, all this Azadi, and, roam around, and they abuse actually the US government, the US system and other things. So the grand strategy of globalization, three types of globalization, I think I might have mentioned to you. Throughout the 70s and 80s, it was a product market globalization. Everybody was wanting to, and they told, the famous argument is, what is American about this Ford motor? They will say, don't talk about American imperialism, because the Ford motor engine is made in Barcelona, and the electronic system is made in Tokyo, and the tires are made in France. The whole thing is assembled in Malaysia and then sold. So what is American about it? So these MNCs were pushing what is called the product market globalization. Everything, wherever they feel there is a cost efficiency, they will set up that particular plant or particular aspect. Then the 90s came when the financial globalization started taking place. The funds are to move freely from one country to another. You should not have any restriction imposed on us. We will move wherever. And particularly the so-called sovereign wealth funds, particularly of the Norwegian countries as well as some of the European countries, because they have huge amount of pension funds accumulated, because there are more there are less caskets, more caskets compared to cradles. So the newborns are not much. People are living old, and the pension funds are growing. So they wanted to have unlimited. So that was a very big thing. So everything, BlackRock, all type of investment funds wanted to have free access, capital movement. All that was taking place in the 90s and the beginning of the century. Then came the issue of labor. See, product, capital, and the third is labor. Whether labor should have unrestricted access to other countries. This is and when it came to labor, very many were unenthusiastic. I think I did mention. Germany in the year 2000 wanted to have Indians imported. Actually, after our phenomenal participation in 𝗦𝗃𝗃 and its success, and they wanted to issue green card for 5 years for Indians to come and work there, and then roll over. So they planned for 50,000 like that for period of 5 years. But Bavaria, that Joseph Strauss, he is one of those similar to our Tamil Nadu leader. He created a huge amount of problem. He told, no, this is unacceptable. Hinder will come and take away the job of Kinder. The big campaign was done, and finally the government did not win, and this was not also done. But interestingly, after that, this Merkel to me looks like a school teacher. Actually, she should not have become the chancellor, but she was the most popular chancellor, they say. I do not know. She told open borders and let everybody come, let all the world come here. Actually, we were talking about, inviting all the guests. Well, as she told, and mostly African and Middle East, all these war-torn countries, those people only went there. And they created enough amount of difficulties. They were to be taken care, health care. And finally, before she left after her term, that was nearly, I think she continued for 2 terms. Last month, she told this multiculturalism is a big failure. And so attempting that is not a good thing for Germany. What is this? After, this is what is called the, in proverb in Tamil is, after your eyesight is completely gone, you start doing the Surya Namaskar. So similar to that, she was telling that this is present. So the labor movement became a very big thing. Europe wanted the labor. Finally, they ended up with what is called the brown collar laborers, not the blue collar, not the white collar. Brown collar, those who remove your garbage cans, those who retail thing, those who sweep the roads and floors and other. So this is what was the third dimension of globalization, which was also happening in US, but unlike in Europe, the US was getting from its southern portion, the Mexico and then slowly other places, Uruguay, Paraguay. There was a time in the 90s when I was in US, they were mostly concentrated in Texas and California. But later on, when I again went in the 2010 or so, up to Alaska they have gone. The Spanish and and there is a joke is the language, national language of US is going to become Spanish. It could be one reason why Trump hurriedly announced English is our language. No, because he was very much worried. Perhaps the State of the Union address might have to be given in Spanish. So that's not a very acceptable thing because he has to read like our Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. He has to keep the sheet before and then all teleprompter and read. Anyhow, so this globalization issue has come to a neat and clean picture. In the sense, except some parts in India where people are still talking about globalization and other things. Nobody else in the world is very serious about globalization. And within France and within Germany, there is a huge amount of political forces which are not very enthusiastic about this whole idea. So that's a interesting thing. So the globalization, to some extent, we have to do the Antim Kriya. We can perform it actually. The another dimension, which is also taking place, not directly related to this, but linked with this is the banks, as we know, are all dying. The next Antim Kriya we can do. We can take some mustard, we can take some rice and other thing with water, go to Kaveri or Ganga and then do the rituals. So that is the banks as we know. What is the problem of banks is today, huge number of banks, and then in India as usual, we are always, some 5 years late. When global banks are getting created, we also wanted to create, and so we merged all the smaller banks into bigger banks and other. But what is happening is, what is the popular called CASA, what is called the current account, savings account. That is actually the main benefit of the banks. That's what and for the current account, they don't pay interest also. So the amount, and normally it is expected to be around 40-45% proportion of the total deposit, this CASA deposit. And the savings account, they pay very nominal, 4%, 3.5%. And in the earlier time, these banks, in India are cheats actually. What they are doing is, the minimum balance you keep between 10th of a month and 30th of the month only, they will pay interest. That is, if you have 10th, let's say 1 lakh, and around 28th you draw some 90,000. You know, you will get interest for the whole month for under 10,000 only. This is what they were operating for a long period of time. Some of us, including yours sincerely, fought against it. And this Indian Banks Association is a mafia group. It's like a trade union. They resisted because banks were making huge benefit out of that actually. Later on, we came to know around 150 crore was supposed to be the benefit. Anyhow, finally, when Subbarao was the this Reserve Bank governor, after a lot of pressure and thing on him, he agreed that it's not a very appropriate thing, daily basis only, whatever. Because for the credit which they give to the small shopkeepers and vegetable vendors, they compute interest on a daily basis. So the same way they should do it for the deposits also. They told no, it's very complicated and other things. So Barao told no, you use the same software and you can provide the. Anyhow, the point is now they are giving it on a daily balance basis. Those days, a lot of these village women and the village illiterates and women and so many people, they used to keep some 10,000 rupees, 8,000 rupees in the beginning of the month. Around 25th, 26th, you require, that's a time in which actually there is a more requirement. Say they draw the huge amount and they don't get any interest. They are not knowledgeable about these things also. Anyhow, so that CASA, which used to play a very significant role, it has come down. That is something which we have to. Why? There are two reasons. One is some of the money is going into the long-term deposit as expected because people want to earn more interest. More important is these mutual funds have come and grabbed huge amount of funds. The 𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗦 Bhattacharya, formerly of SBI chairman, she is now with Reliance and she expressed caution about it before she left the job. And recently RBI governor has also expressed his worry and concern about it because the MFs are taking away good amount of money from the banking system. And banks are not able to meet the challenges. Banks say they pay 9%. 9% you pay, but 50% of it is taxed. So finally we end up, but MFs are offering something like 6%, 8% another thing on some definite schemes. And they have this SIP, they call it, which is a regular type of an investment you do. So many type of products have come. Today in India,
systematic investment plans. Systematic investment plans.
Systematic. Today in India, 360 schemes are there. Believe me, offered by some 45, 50 MFs. So this is another major hit faced by the commercial banks. So plus, after the net banking, many people are not going to branches at all. You visit any typical urban branch, you will find some retired person like me sitting there going and asking some silly question. This 70 rupee is not properly credited, this 65 rupee, or some economic time is bought in some branches even today and kept there and read it free, after all. And then after some time, I have a cup of, sometime the branch manager may offer you a cup of coffee, I have that and come out. You will not find much of youngsters today in the bank branches. Most of them operate through the ATM, most of them operate through the net. So what is happening slowly is the banking as we know traditionally is dying. And added to that is all these, merchant payment facilities today. Even a small vegetable vendor has got that screen. You can pay through GPay. And some of my friends are frankly telling they have not carrying any cash at all these days. Last 1 or 2 months, they have never carried any cash. It's always through the smallest fellow. Cash is only handled by people who pay bribes today. In the sense for the giving it to the corruption officials. This is how India pays. Thank you, Sachin, for this is all that which is this is not cash. This is all that which is paid by the electronic medium, you can see huge amount of money is transferred by various of these mechanisms. So in another 4-5 years, there will not be any banks. I can tell you, this will be the bank. This means not mine for all of you. Each one will have your own thing, and that will operate as a bank. So the death of traditional banking we should recognize, and the local payment system is becoming very popular. This is another interesting thing. In the sense, there is no need for us to have a national level bank. Another local, for instance, the Kumbhakonam City Union Bank is serving the locality because they are extremely knowledgeable about the customers at the catchment area. Well, the nationally spread bank, another thing, they just use by the paper, current ratio, fixed ratio, and all that thing, and then they don't know the customer physically. So this revolution is taking place. The banks are dying. Sorry to tell you, sorry to share with you, but the banks, the bankers, I am not telling is dying. Banks are dying. The banks, as we know. Third one is the NGOs. The NGO is a menace for a long period of time. Are you aware? In India, there are 3.3 million NGOs registered. 3.3 million. 1 million is 10 lakh. 33 lakh. NGOs in India. Per capita NGO in the whole world, India is number 1. And we have only 15,000 thanas. For a population of 140 crores, 15,000, 15,000 thanas. So you can compare that too. And out of this 33 lakh NGOs, 16 lakh are supposed to be active. This is something very interesting. And 16,000 and all is FIRA registered NGO. You can get money from foreign sources. Most of them are church and church-related organization. Nowadays, of course, some of the NRIs are also providing for Hindu-related organizations also. That's one of the reasons why FIRA is not yet abolished. Point is, 55,000 crores we have got in the last 2 years from abroad. We are no more actually what one can call a white man's burden. Let's be very clear about it. Second is, we tend to think as if when this Bill Gates and the other, what is his name, sir? The richest man who is investing.
Elon Musk or Pierre Omidyar?
No. Regular investor, investor who gives speeches annual. His reports are eagerly.
Warren Buffett.
He came to India, and so much was talked about that time. Sonia Gandhi told Indian business should emulate Warren Buffett. I think she doesn't understand anything about India. I can tell you very clearly from this one example. Somebody might have given her speech writing. That's a different issue. Ramakrishna Mission from 30s is running something like 70 to 80,000 hospitals, healthcare facilities, and schools. I am one of the product of their schools actually. All of that is significantly subsidized or financed by the Marwari, Gujarati, Jain business people, local business people. Government doesn't give any money to them. They are running it. And so same way, so many of them have now come. This 𝗟𝗡𝗄𝗎 in Kerala, like that. You go to any temple in most of the places in South India at least, you get food there free. And this is given by whom? It is not given by some mutual fund or anything. This is all given by the local business people. One simple example, from a deep interior of Orissa, a group of youngsters won weightlifting in Commonwealth. And so they got medals, gold, silver, and other. And that time, this was around the beginning of the thing, this NDTV surprisingly wanted to investigate. And from Bolangir in Orissa, which is the nearest town, they have to go deep interior. Finally, they reached some villages, and one 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 weightlifting association was there, where, and they interviewed them, what motivated you, and they told, no, we get support from the local business. And they then went to the local business. What is it which motivates you to give money to all this? I told, sir, youngsters, otherwise they will do a lot of mischief and other thing. They might come and harass us also. Instead of that, we provide regular funding to them, so they spend, at least they do something positive instead of just, what I want to stress is huge amount of this financing activity is done by large amount of our Baniya and our Lalas and our, this is taking place. So this is something which now US side, which with the 2 billion thing, they used to sponsor various NGOs in order to be active. The most amusing thing or tragic thing is, Government of India is asking the US Embassy in Delhi how much money has been allocated for various projects in India. Kindly tell us. So this Government of India doesn't even know the amount of money spent on these things. Those days itself, T.N. Seshan wrote a book. Actually, he didn't write his anthology, rather not is not his autobiography, but his biography. There it was mentioned that anti-India agitation was financed by CIA significantly through NGOs, and he came to Tamil Nadu, he came to Taj Hotel, and there was such a ruckus there. The hotel glasses were broken and he was to be beaten up. Fortunately, nothing physical happened to him. That book was immediately banned at that time by the UPA government. He was the Madurai collector during the anti-India agitation. Most important to note, not that he was talking from his hat. Point I want to stress is, lot of these type of Andolan GVs are financed by the NGOs all over the world, and what type of activity they are doing. Very interesting statistics has come from this Musk on USAID. Many of the terrorist organizations they were financing. This is something unbelievable actually. They were financing organizations which are associated with Hamas, which are associated with Taliban, which are associated. So there is a huge activity on NGOs. And let me put it very clearly, NGO means non-government organization, which is totally false, because most of them are government funding. Government funding from Germany, government funding from Norway, government funding from these Norwegian countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, that area. It's a very, very solid supporter for these NGO activities. They have, as I told you, the sovereign wealth fund, some of that is diverted. And many of those countries, people may not know, is church is a very important role to play. The local fellows don't go to church anymore, but the church still has a big role in terms of government and other activities. So they provide funds for all type of studies are undertaken, LGBTQ studies, and then this studies on urban poverty, studies on oppression of women. You won't believe all type of, and most of it is right based. That is cockroach right, mosquito right, animal right, tree rights, all this. And for that, the funds are significantly provided. Other than the funds which comes to the church activities, which are used for conversion and everything. Now that NGO thing is also gone. US aid is closed. Some judges prevented it. I am sure they would find some way to overcome that issue. The simple point is, why should US provide huge amount of funds globally for all these projects? So today the single point idea of US is not a dollar from US should go outside in order to help all these causes and other thing. Similarly, not a dollar should go out to help all these wars and other things. In the sense, traditionally, the New York, California intellectuals, the professors and all these thought-oriented people were thinking they are the best in running the country. Today, the Idaho, potato grower, he has become the center stage. He says, "I will decide what should be done for my country." So this is what is happening. And in India also, I am sure, sooner or later we have to take a call about this foreign funding, the 𝗟𝗡𝗎. And some NRAs, good, they are providing funds for some of these organizations, BAPS and this 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗎 in Kerala and various other. But how long? Why should it be? There are enough internally, huge amount of. Actually, some of the internally rich people are providing funds to Stanford, Yale, and other things. They are sponsoring all the studies, research, and other things. Funds are going out. Instead, it should be coming in. Anyhow, NGOs are now being questioned. They are no more very enthusiastic, and the funding stops mean lot of these internal turmoil in India will come to an end. If the NGO funding in Manipur comes to an end by the Baptist and Methodist in Europe, huge amount of difference it will make in the domestic situation in India. So globalization gone, dead. Traditional banking dead. NGOs dying. So this is what is the new altered state of the situation in the India as well as in the world. No need to shed tears for any of these things. This is, as Schumpeter in the olden time used to say, creative destruction. So this is what happened. These changes do take place, and the changes have to be faced. So this we have to remember, and then before we meet next time, so many changes might have taken place. The French opposition leader Le Pen might have been arrested, and their party might have been banned from contesting polls. Same thing about AfD in Germany. Of course, these are all not any scoop or anything. These are all just possibilities which could the developing scenario. So which could create a huge amount of conflict in Europe. But let's wait and see. That we will keep it for the next discussion. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Two questions also.
Thank you so much, Professor R V. Couple of things that I wanted to touch upon, like sort of summarizing the takeaways from what you said. Sir, in most people's life, if you think of 1 month as having 4 weeks, mota, right? 4 weeks in a month. The first week is gold week because you get paid. Second week is silver week. Third week is copper week. Fourth week is pauper week. No money at all.
Correct. Where you have to worry about spending.
Yes. So this is exactly what the banks were preying upon to make sure that they don't have to give you a lot of interest. Second thing is, viewers, thank you so much for joining us, members, also for your super stickers. If you notice, we are more focused on asking you just for likes, because the likes that you give actually take us over the hump in many cases. So all we ask you, because that doesn't cost you money also. Professor R V feels enthusiastic. I got 10,000 likes. I got 4,000 likes. It's different whether you ask questions or not, because questions is the next level of engagement, but you are asking and becoming even more curious about the content. We welcome as many questions as possible. So just remember to like our videos, and that's all. We love to be liked. Thank you, sir. Now let's go to questions. Hari Rao, thank you for becoming a YouTube member.
Hari Rao, thanks a lot. Shyam
Thank you,
Tarun,
Shyam.
thanks a lot. Kamal, thank you.
𝗏𝗲𝗍 Krishnan wants to know, sir, will we see a rebound in the share market anytime soon?
Yeah. See, again, I should not be look very repeating again and again. Our entire share market shares, the value addition of all the companies put together doesn't cross 8 to 10% of the GDP. Unlike in US, where the share market plays a very large role, 35 to 40% of the GDP is covered by the listed company. Here it is not like that. So that's something which we should keep in the back of the mind. And again, we have 8,000 shares listed together in BSE, NSE. Hardly 100 to 200 are active on a daily basis. Today, what is happening is a lot of these global investors are pulling out. Kindly note, global investors have invested some trillions in Indian stock market. Some billions are going out. So it's not so big or anything. It's going out because of attraction elsewhere or because of concerns about this. So this April 2, Trump tariff and other thing will settle down. It's not going to have so much impact on India. Let's be very clear about it. The only thing, the sticking point will be the what one may call the dairy system. The US wants to penetrate the Indian milk and milk products, egg and other thing, and we are not going to accept it. And we are actually the second largest egg producer in the world. We can actually send some egg to the egg on the face of the Trump. So that's the only sticking point. All other, there is very minor thing. Even the Venezuelan oil, we can always route it through another country and avoid the 25% tax on it. So the market sooner or later will settle down. That's, I think, will be the first fortnight or in the month of April. All these most of the media is pro-democrat. That's very important to say. And our Indian media also get the feed from this US media. Your Washington Post, New York Times, Reuters, all of them. So they present pictures which are, what one can call from a left point of view, but that will stabilize. Once they have lesser influence inside the government, ability to speculate, most of it will become unacceptable. So April will settle down, and we are doing well. Let's be very clear about it. In the whole world, we are number one in terms of GDP growth rate. And between 14 and 25, 100% has been the change in our position compared to all other countries. All other countries, I am telling China, US and other thing. We are consistently keeping our growth rate. And we are the only country which is talking about above 6% and other thing. We are doing very well. Our agriculture is doing very well. Our trade surplus is something unseen, which is coming up. And we have kept very tight, whatever said and done, having a woman as finance minister is a good thing, actually. Extremely tight position in terms of deficit managing. Indian housewife is very well known for managing deficits. All Indian housewife always manage only deficit. The fourth week, what Iyer was telling about proper week, that is what they are able to. So, P. Chidambaram was earlier finance minister. In an interview, has appreciated this government for keeping a tight leash on expenditure. This is second point. Third point, most important is, there is so far I am telling, no major accusation against any cabinet ministers or anything about corruption, bribery and other things. Maybe taking place, maybe not known to others, but nothing has come to light. So we will see a good rebound in April, May. Okay, next.
Next one, please. Pawan Kishore wants to know, what should we infer from EU's call to keep emergency kits in case of crisis? Are they preparing for any war, or are they just fear-mongering?
EU is dead. That will be our next discussion topic. Anyhow, don't take them seriously. They are just jumping here and there. They are convening a lot of meeting, particularly this Macron. He is moving around like a headless chicken. Earlier, US media and Europe media used to cover. Now, not much. Now, only Air France 24 is covering it. That's all. He is calling all these leaders from Africa. He says he will bring some. Nothing is happening. So EU emergency kits and other things, forget. They want to create an army. Where from, I do not know. Quite a large portion of the youth is in the pubs. Are they going to bring them out and then make them into soldiers? Anyway, just ignore EU. That's all I would say.
Next question, please.
Hinduism is a colonial. Units allow such course. Oh gosh, in US you should know non-STEM faculty, particularly faculty in social sciences. 80% of them are left loonies. This is very, very important. And they are the ones who control the curriculum, who control the... It will take a long time to clean it up. Currently, what Trump is doing, or this ego is doing, is to reduce funding for all that excessively anti-Semitic, pro-jihadi type of groups. That's a starting point. But it will take a long time. This has been helped by us also. Many of our big business is funding many of these projects. Rajiv Malhotra has exposed this, talked about it for a long period of time.
Snakes in the Ganga.
Okay, next.
The book's name is Snakes in the Ganga. He co-wrote it with Vijaya Vishwanath.
No. Much before that itself.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about all the things like being different and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yes.
S.G. Krishna wants to know, is there a chance of us going into recession due to tariffs? How tariffs affect inflation and purchasing power? Is it a good thing to play with tariff? Oh, come on, same thing going on again. Sir.
I have told India is not going to be significantly affected at all. Only one sore point or a sticking thumb is the dairy product between US and India. US would like to send all its dairy products. Some of you might have read a couple of, not now, couple of years before, they used to sink in the ocean, huge amount of their dairy and other, because they were not very sure that they would be able to get good money, and if they sell it in the other market, the prices will come down. Much better to sink it in the ocean. Crazy people. Anyhow, tariff is not a big issue, and they have categorically told, very clearly enunciated, India is not in the same league as China, Canada, Mexico, etc. We are separate. Okay.
Next one. Naresh Nilakantan wants to know, do you think our EAM Jaishankarji is right about multipolar world taking care of hegemony held by 2 or 3 countries holding whip on 190 plus countries?
100%. Our EAM is correct. For instance, we are not a member of the United Nations Security Council. 140 crores and largest growing economy. All parameters we are. And some stupid report says World Happiness Index, where they have put India below. Can you beat Pakistan, Palestine, then Somalia, so many countries? They are all very happy than us. I think we should be bombed regularly to be happy. Otherwise, you are not going to be in that league. All such stupid reports come out. So we should be part of the UNSC. If not, let UNSC be scrapped. UN be scrapped. We should be playing a much larger role in many of these entities. So it's not a proper thing for India to be kept away, kept aside. Okay.
Sir, you remember this cricketer called Shahid Afridi?
Yeah.
So, Ian Chappell, who just retired as a TV commentator, once commented that when he burst on the scene, they said he was 17 years of age, Shahid Afridi, but he looked like a well-developed 24-year-old boy. So Ian Chappell goes up to Shahid Afridi and saying, so what is the truth behind your youth? How come you are saying you are 17? Then Shahid Afridi, with a twinkle in his eye, says, sir, we don't count the time we sleep for age.
Correct. So half only is taken, right?
So likewise, this happiness index only polls those people who are watching IPL matches and whose team has lost. Then they will be unhappy.
Right. There was one more question, I think. No?
Yeah, next question coming up. Venkataraman wants to know, UN formed in 1945. There's one issue which took up in 1947, hasn't been able to provide justice for 78 years. Praise Jawaharlal Nehru, who tactfully exposed UN in 1947 itself.
Using Kashmir. Good question, Venkataraman. Thank you very much.
Okay. He's a very regular, very healthy, very beautiful comment, sir. He puts up very astute observations.
Considering literacy levels, big rural traditional banks should continue to be around foreseeable. No, this literacy thing, so many, our average literacy rate is 73% today. I don't know. Still, many people are reading 1960 books, I think. We are not as illiterate as, Kerala has got 100%. Kerala is not educated, it's illiterate. That's a different issue. But our literacy rates are very good. And kindly note, a big rural population is as much knowledgeable, is getting into as much. 80% of India is covered with mobile phones.
Sir,
and 65% of India has got smartphones. So these are all traditional way of looking at India. New India is completely different than this, actually.
Sir, go easy on our Kerala brothers and sisters, sir. Next time you go to Kerala, they'll put a go back Professor R.V. sign.
Okay.
Next one. Dum Brown wants to know, when will India kick out Waqf, take back stolen lands and negate laws that will allow Hindu temple taxation? Any progress?
Not in the immediate future. Because one thing you should recognize, it is assumed, to some extent it could be true also, that Muslims vote as a block, single block. So that's always there in the, and we have one man, one vote type of a situation. As long as the voting system is prevalent, and as long as it is perceived that Islamist vote as a single block, it's not very easy to implement what you are suggesting. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor R.V. And viewers, that was another fascinating session with Professor R.V. And please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Come back in about half an hour's time to listen to General Ravi Shankar as we talk about, will Balochistan sustain itself as a country? The conditions are right now for them to declare independence, but there's always a but in such cases. What is that? We're going to listen to him. He'll give out a complete 360-degree view of what happened. Sir, thank you so much, Professor R.V. We'll be back again very soon. And looking forward to your comments again, sir.
Thank you.